Some good news. I know a lot of Australians are looking at the outnumbered and outgunned Ukrainians who are so bravely fighting the Russian invaders and been doing this for nearly a year and a half and are wondering, how can we help, especially when our own government isn't doing enough? Well, I have a new scheme for you. It's called Utes for Ukraine. Well, that's what I've called it anyway. Send Ukraine utes that their army is now called for, utes that they can use for transport, which they badly need, or convert to war machines like this. That's actually a British ute, also already donated, that's been converted. And when it comes to utes, Australia's full of them, isn't it? Well, joining me is Stefan Romaniw, who's been asked by the Ukrainian military to get what he can from here. Now, Stefan is co-chair of the Australian Federation of Ukrainian Organisations and first vice president of the Ukrainian World Congress. Stefan, it's always great to talk to you. What have you been told is needed?
Thanks, Andrew, for having me again. You know, when you hear the stories, the personal stories of people here in Australia who have family over there, when you speak to Ukraine nearly every day, when you hear the atrocities that are happening and you hear what's happening on the front lines, we have taken a position from the Australian Federation of Ukrainian Organisations. You've got to think globally, but you have to act locally. And we've divided that into two parts. Acting globally, Australian government should continue to support Ukraine with the list of things that Ukraine is asking for. But from a community point of view, we're also, you call it Youths for Ukraine, we're launching Trucks for Ukraine. The Australian Federation of Ukrainian Organisations received a letter from the Commander-in-Chief of the Ukrainian Army, General Zaluzhny, asking us for vehicles. We've created through the Federation, my co-chair, Katerina Ahiru, she's heading up a subcommittee. Our Director for Humanitarian Aid, Darka Sinko, is also looking for funds. What are we asking for? We want vehicles. What does Ukraine want? It wants vehicles. It wants those SUVs. It wants those vehicles that can transport those that are injured, those that logistically need to be on the front. We're asking Ukrainians and we're asking the Australian public to support us in this campaign. You can do this by contributing to defendukraine.appeal.com. But I'm going to Ukraine next week. I want to talk to the people on the front line because these utes are very, very important. We have, and I've got a list here of the things that we need. There's a whole list of utes and cars and so on that we as Australians can provide. The AFUO will look after the logistics, but you can contribute, you can donate, and it's very, very important because we're dealing with the front line. As much as we'd like to help everybody else, the front line is critical. This war continues, and from an Australian point of view, the Australian government needs to continue to support, needs to provide the things that Ukraine requires, but we as a community can do that. I've just got a list here of, for example, in the last couple of weeks, $265,000 of support, small support. They might be night visors, they might be helmets, the things that people need on the front line. I spoke to Katerina this afternoon. She spoke to people on the front line last night, where there are military hospitals. They're portable hospitals. People have to be transferred before they get into the cities. So you can help us by providing a ute, you can provide donations, and we're dealing from person to person. This list I have in front of me here, we're very, very logistically, you know, we're not going through third parties. We're going from point A to point B. So if you can help Ukraine, you can help Ukraine by providing a ute, or you can provide an SUV. There's a whole list here, but we can also do another thing.
Stefan Romaniw,
we can donate.
But tell us, tell us though, how do people do it? How do people do it?
People can donate to defendukraine.appeal.com. You can donate you can either donate financially.
Defend, yeah, just repeat that, defendukraine.appeal.com.
Ukraine.appeal.com. Or if you have a vehicle that you want to give us We can look after the logistics. There's one other call out we have to the Australian government. We know the Australian Defence Force auctions off some of its vehicles, and we've said to the Minister for Defence, Richard Marles, you know what, let's cut out pickles, let's cut out the middle people. We'll take those vehicles off you. They are needed in Ukraine today. They need it in Ukraine today,
Stefan,
because there are people who need to be transported.
Look, this is a noble cause, and congratulations on you for fighting so hard. I think this is a really hugely important one. Stefan Romaniw, thank you very much for coming on the show.